Today is the last sermon during our month of sacred texts, and I have to admit I'm very sad to leave this theme behind. I've really enjoyed it. The Harry Potter series spans Harry's school years at Hogwarts and his battle with He Who Must Not Be Named, or Lord Voldemort. It is a story of loss and regret, suspense, loyalty, and friendship. At times you think you know what's going to happen, but in true J.K. Rowling style, you are truly surprised by the twists in the plot. Harry Potter is an epic tale. It's 7 books, and they're translated in as many languages as the Christian Bible. It tells how a young boy and his friends and teachers overcome evil. It is a common story, but one that never diminishes in our collective imagination. And as I said in my first sermon, it is a tale of how a young boy from an abusive home finds wholeness in the midst of war and chaos. This saga is a tale of loyalty and friendship. Right from the beginning, Harry finds a companion in Ron Weasley. After Harry realizes he has been left quite a bit of money, he shares his good fortune with Ron on the train ride to Hogwarts. "Go on," he says, "have a pasty." Harry, who had never had anything to share before, or indeed anyone to share it with, was happy to make a friend. And together, and throughout the books, Harry and his friends share joys, sorrows, adventures, and losses. And this is what makes the book so valuable and so real, even across genders and ages and cultures. These stories speak to a way of being human. What amazes me is how many people have read Harry Potter. How many of you have read Harry Potter? Oh my goodness. You know, it's one of those iconic things that really speaks to our time and place, like 9/11 or like for me, the Boston bombing. You know, we talk about how we're shaped as a culture by these big things, but we've all been shaped in some fashion by Harry Potter, even if you've never read the stories. When faced with life's trials and tribulations, we need to have companions. From close buddies like Hermione and Ron to progressive outer circles like Neville and Luna, to those outer circles of teachers and fellow classmates, Harry needed support as he moved closer to the truth of what was at stake in his battles with Voldemort. And we learn from this sacred text, because it is a sacred text, that we need layers of acquaintances and kinships so that we can navigate our own battles. We need people on our side. When faced with the bad news of a fire going on in my house, I was down in Boston, I know I've talked about it before, I called my best friend. And when I was going through a rough time with my relationship, I had a circle, a community of people that supported me. And during my son's deployment to Iraq, I found a Buddhist community to help and support me, to teach me new ways of coping. So we have these concentric circles of support, and we need that. It can be challenging when we feel we have to do it alone, and that what we're doing is too dangerous or too messy or too embarrassing. But we need people. We need to not strike out on our own. We are not solitary creatures, and I know I preach that from the pulpit often. We are not solitary creatures. And after Harry realizes that he must leave school before he graduates and find and destroy the Horcruxes before he faces Voldemort, Ron and Hermione say, "We'll be there." There was a time that we could have turned back, and we've had that time. And we're with you, whatever happens. I want you to close your eyes for a second and think about those people. Who are those people in your life that you know no matter what will be there? Who are you? Who are you that person for? I want you to hold them in your heart. And when times get rough, I want you to call them. And when they call you, I want you to be there. I believe that there are times for quiet solitude and reflection. But when we are facing hardships or injustice, in those times we need to be able to accept and ask for help. I know the Harry Potter books are silly and scary, but they are true. Together, Harry, Ron, and Hermione and a cast of collaborators find monstrous objects, break them, and ultimately destroy Voldemort. And the task was too big for one person, but together in community of respect and caring, evil was overcome. And binding them together was an enormous trust. Where Harry learned to trust is a mystery to me. And you would think growing up in such a dysfunctional home would have made Harry suspicious or depressed, but it didn't. Was it the love his mother showered on him with her sacrifice? Was it Harry's natural goodness? I'm not sure about the nature versus nurture aspects of this in creating personality, but in the Harry Potter series, this is a central theme. It is a central element in Harry's character. Rawlings explores this when she writes, when conversing with Lupin, Harry says, "You think I'm a fool." But Lupin says, "No. I think you're like James," his father, who would have regarded as the height of dishonor to mistrust your friends. Natural goodness is a Buddhist tenet. We all have natural goodness that we can come back to when we're angry, lonely, or feeling ill will towards others. When we can recognize this natural goodness in us, it makes it easier for us to recognize that natural goodness in others. It does not mean that everyone is good, but we can bring out that goodness and we can bring it to the surface. And Dumbledore does this with Voldemort and Malfoy. Even when they are seeking to destroy everything, he offers them a way out of destructive behavior. When Malfoy is confronted with killing a great person, no spoilers, to win back his family place with the Death Eaters, that beloved person offers Malfoy a way out, in person and in a plot with another central character. Throughout these books, We get to see ways that friendship and loyalty to this understanding of basic goodness offers salvation from inner pain and suffering. We also get to see that when we ignore this basic goodness, we perish. Dumbledore offers friendship and trust to Harry. At the end of book 7, when Harry is facing a terrible truth, he is not alone. All those he has loved and thought he has lost are there with him to support him. He walks with his ancestors and his friends in that knowledge of how much he loves and how much he is loved. He has that love and that knowledge of his friendships when he faces the ultimate sacrifice. In dangerous as well as celebratory times, we need our friends and our loved ones near. We need to build and maintain a broad spectrum of friendships. One of the things that amazes me is that we can read a book and learn what good friendships look like. So if you've never had a good friend, read Harry Potter. We can find solutions to our injustice and horrific ordeals. From sacred texts, we can explore hope and friendship on this path to combating evil. My hope for you as we end this series is that in your explorations you find modern sacred texts that speak to your heart and your life path, and that you can find your own voice and your own truth written on the pages that you love. And the people said, Amen and blessed be. And so, in the spirit of making our own magic, let's sing together hymn number 118, This Little Light of Mine.